everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Why I Love BNI, your local podcast spotlighting different businesses and different chapters on what they love about having their business and having their business be a part of the BNI family and how it's benefited them. So today I'm super excited to have my guest Matt with us today. Matt, thank you so much for the time today. I really appreciate
Yeah,
it.
thanks for having me join.
Of course. Well, Matt and I got connected through Rebecca Turner, who was in on the podcast a few weeks ago, I think before Christmas. So some time ago. But I got connected through Matt and we had a great phone call, just learning a little bit about what he's doing and how he's helping the community with some really cool things. So I'll kind of let Matt take it away. And why don't you just explain a little bit about what you do and how you're helping people?
Right. So I run Captain's Lawn Services. I really manage I have a group of guys that do some great work as far as lawn care and landscaping goes. And realistically, we're trying to improve the overall communication that we have with the customers and provide an excellent service. One of the big things that we noticed, especially from having past services, is that there was really a disconnect between the communication of when you're going to be there, as well as if you're going to have an issue in a day. If there's rain coming down and that's going to tear up the lawn, there was really a lack of communication, and that's really been our focus. Is
What?
really just letting the customer know when we're going to arrive, the quality of the service, and consistency. So,
Yeah.
again, that's how we're really helping and how we're changing as far as what we're doing in the lawn and landscaping world.
Wow. And it's so funny when we say things like that, to you and I'm sure it sounds so simple and sounds like just, common sense to be able to do some of these things, but it's crazy to think that there are some businesses out there who don't do that, who don't operate on a schedule like that. Um, I'd love to know what inspired you to start with what you guys are doing.
Yeah, so again, it actually stems back to some of my other businesses. So I am a fishing guide by nature. Um, and I had enough success with that. We opened up a storefront, and
Oh,
I had a number of guides that were coming to me that were part-time. And these guides needed some part-time labor jobs. And so what we found was there was a nice little niche in the lawn and landscaping world. These guys are used to being out in the hot sun. So it was a perfect niche to go over and say, hey, look, if you're not guiding, you can be out, taking care of people's lawns and making a good income. And, it ended up evolving into something a lot bigger. We ended up going into year two. Fortunately, my partner, Gavin, he's been at this for a long time. So he's really good at training the guys up and getting them going. But needless to say, our first year of business, because of BNI, we have really outgrown our britches. So I brought on another gentleman named Kyle Rawson, who's really helping to grow and develop our CRM systems, as well as organizing our route designated systems as well.
wow. That's so cool. I mean, it's so great to hear stories like that where you kind of start because you have either a passion or you're just looking to help some people out. And then because of that, you kind of get rewarded tenfold into a kind of growth that no one could really see coming. And it sounds like BNI was a huge help on maintaining something like that.
Absolutely, absolutely. I can't say enough about BNI.
Well, I'd love to know who invited you to your first BNI meeting. How'd you find out about it?
So I was introduced by a gentleman named Davey Compton, who's a home inspector, guardian home inspector. I'll shout it out there. Davey went on a guide trip with me. He's a big fly fisherman. That's my specialty, is sight fishing in the flats around here in St. Augustine. He went on a trip with me, had an awesome time. I started talking to him about what I wanted to do, and he goes, "Hey, you're in a perfect niche market for BNI." And I said, well, what's BNI? And after the first meeting, I went back and instantly signed up. And I was just hoping that I'd get the seat for landscaping because I could see the true value in what that was going to bring to this business.
Wow. I think most people who I asked that question to, most people say like after their first meeting is when they apply. And it's just so cool that I don't know what's the proper way to phrase this, but kind of like when you find the chapter that you know that you're gonna fit into, it's almost like you can't get in fast enough. Like you can just feel that it's the right chapter for you as well.
Absolutely. And I mean, the way I like to structure things is, when I go through a sales cycle, we want to find out the low hanging fruit? How do
Mm.
we structure ourselves so that we have the pipeline full? How do we keep it so that everything's funneling down and we're consistently selling? And that was the piece that BNI really brought, which is
Oh.
if we, to go back to the term low hanging fruit, I'm low hanging fruit to a lot of the people in my BNI. Everybody's required to provide referrals. I'm a really easy referral because everybody has a lawn. Everybody has a neighbor that's pissed off at their current lawn maintenance person. And again, the nice thing is because of BNI, I'm held accountable. So
Mm.
I'm truly providing a better service, and I know that. But at the same time, again, to all the BNI folks, it's a really easy win for them. They just go to the neighbor, hey, call this guy. Done. Instant
Yeah.
referral.
Definitely. And I love how you mentioned it holds you accountable as well, because I know there's a lot of people out there who can sometimes get intimidated maybe by the BNI system and how, trackable everything is and how much people care about tracking stuff like this. Because I think sometimes it's easy to go, oh, well, it's not that big of a deal. I don't have to log this or log that or log this or like that. But it's keeping a track of things that you should be doing already, like, oh,
Absolutely.
someone sent me a referral. I just remembered I have to follow up on them. Let me go make sure. Like if Rebecca mentions it, go, hey, did you ever talk to Matt? I go, I talked to him maybe once or twice, and then we kind of forgot. So you're right. Let me go check up on that. So it's stuff like that that makes it a little bit easier with that app.
Well,
And
and when you're a small business, having that structure is very important. I come from 8 years in a background in outside sales with a group called Airmark, and we used to say metrics matter. Okay. The reality is that the next chapter I go into, one of my employees is going to be in there. And since I've already gone through BNI, I know what the structure looks like. And if he finds himself falling short of what BNI expects, then those are dockable points for me. That's me going back to the employee and say, hey, if you can't hit these metrics that BNI has supplied for you, then are you the right fit for our business?
right.
Because I've won a lot of business with this group. And if you're not following their systems and the way that they do it and you're not hitting their metrics, then you're not hitting my metrics.
Exactly. And the BNI metrics are honestly not that hard when you're able to really break it down. Because I know everyone keeps saying, and I know Stephanie Robinson, who is the director of Northeast Florida, she told us, she was like, hey, it's just one CEU, one referral, one one-to-one a week. And that'll keep you in the green. Or at least, green I think is what, over 70%, 70 to
Right,
100%
right.
possibly. Which when you look at it, you should be having a one-to-one with a business owner anyway. You should be looking out and making sure you're giving some referrals to your business network because your clients might need it and you don't even realize. So it's stuff like that, like at a CEU, like we all need to continue
Right,
our
right.
education.
Continued education is great.
Definitely. What's been your favorite BNI tip or trick or anything that you've learned through your has it
Mm.
been a year you said of BNI?
It has been well, I'm over the year mark now. My year
Okay.
mark would have been late October.
Oh, okay. So yeah, a year and a half.
Yeah, yeah. So my biggest tip is really, I'm a strong believer in the giver's gain.
Mm,
If there's one thing that you can take away from every meeting that you set up is asking the deeper questions. Don't stop at the bare minimum.
mm-hmm.
Find out if there are other needs that you can find that the client needs. For instance, if I go to a site and I'm talking to somebody and I notice that the side of their house is dirty while I'm there, and I say, hey, look, it's great that you want to refresh the front of the house. It's great that you want this nice facelift, but if we don't clean the sides of the house, then my work's not going to look as good. So I've got this great pressure washer guy that can come out and give you a quote for that. And I can promise you, if we do that and this, the house is going to look so much more beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you can ask those questions. You don't just have to jump straight to it. But he goes, "Oh yeah, I didn't notice that's kind of dirty," so on and so forth.
Yeah, and
Um,
a lot of the times I'm sure you find it too where people go, "Oh, I have been meaning to do that. I just don't know who to trust." I think
yes.
that's a big one as well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Currently, I'm working on a project where um, it needed land clearing, which I can handle. It needed full paver fireplace going in, which I don't do. So I have a paver guy from the BNI. There was backyard decking that needed to be put in. So guy wanted some Trex board. So guess what? I've got a handyman that can build a deck from the BNI that I trust, that I know, that I've seen his work. Great. Now he's in there too. So, in one job, I just hired on three, not to mention I got mobile dumps. Jason amazing, amazing guy who now handles all my dumping. I don't do it anymore because I've realized it costs me more to
Mm.
have one of my guys go out and do the dumping than it is to just hire him come out and, get the debris out.
Yeah, that's great that you're able to that you realize that and you're like, why am I doing this? Like, I don't need to. It's not really where
Time
it's,
value of money. Time value of money.
yeah.
If it's costing you more than it is to pay somebody else, then why are you doing it?
Definitely. And then I think there's also that wait, it just completely left my mind. But I think just being able to go, "Hey, I want to like wanting to give your clients the best service possible, right? And you go, "Well, I just want to help you everywhere I can and I'm not the best at this, but I can do it." But then if you're not the best at it or it's not something you or your guys enjoy or you're able to really make that profit, it doesn't make sense and you're not going to make the client happier because you're breaking your back and they might not even like the job, but giving it to an
Right,
expert, it's
right.
like, "Oh, well, yeah, it makes sense." So that's awesome. Is there any last thing, I mean, do you have any BNI success story where maybe, you got a great referral from someone you knew or just something like that where you guys were doing a project and you were able to connect with so many guys at once?
That is a huge, huge question. I can tell you in our first year with BNI, I've had so many referrals,
Mm,
so much business so that we've grown our business twofold from BNI.
wow.
So if I could pinpoint on anyone, it would be too hard. I can tell you my chapter is amazing. I can't say enough great things about the folks at Net Worth. So, again, I guess my biggest takeaway, the biggest success story I've had is meeting so many wonderful people within BNI in the Net Worth chapter and having them really help grow with me and grow my business and having those salespeople in the field, it really having their support has made my business what it is today.
Yeah, and I can definitely echo your statement. Your BNI is a great, great BNI. I've connected with a few people already today, like Darla and Mike, and they had some really great conversations. So you guys have a really great chapter. So I was so honored to have you on the podcast today and just kind of sharing a little bit about what you're doing. And it sounds like you just really believe in givers gain, and you're the epitome of it. So I appreciate you taking your time today. This was a lot of fun.
Well, Macy, I appreciate you having me on the podcast, and don't hesitate to reach out if you have any other questions.
Of course. And to everyone watching, I really appreciate you as well. And I'll see you next time. Bye.